Hello, everyone. American Granny here. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. I have a huge question that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, and at least I know the article was very difficult to find. Um, that I wanted to do this broadcast about. Um, I, the article was actually really hard to find, but it's from the Business Insider. Um, it is Russia is signaling it could take out the West's internet and GPS. There's no good backup plan. Now, that's the title of the article. Because I am not a subscriber, I can't afford to buy it. Uh, I thought, well, if I have so much trouble finding this, uh, I bet most Americans definitely have not heard of this. And uh, I can't pronounce the gentleman. I know his first name is Dmitry Medvedev, I believe is the last name. I know it's not pronounced properly, and I apologize. So please don't take any offense. Um, he's the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, and he issued a stark warning back in June. Now, I'm just hearing about this now. Now, I have seen other articles about Russia and China entering international United States waters. And it's always been concerning, but I could not find any causation behind the reports of why they would be there. And it's funny because they were there back in June, is when these reports were coming out about 2 weeks late after the events had occurred. Uh, the censorship in America has gotten so bad. It really has. They're trying to keep Americans in the dark because, they want us worried about everything else and anything else except for what's really going on. And what I could get of the article to read uh, definitely explained why Russia was in our waters. And I will read what I could find of the article for you because I had to do a screenshot of it. It wouldn't let me read the complete article. Um, but it says the undersea cables that enable global communications had become a legitimate target for Russia, he said. And this is the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council. Uh, Medvedev's warnings came after Nord Stream 2, a pipeline that transfers gas from Russia to Germany, was blown up. Russian officials believe the West had been involved in the attack. Recent reports suggest Ukraine was actively behind the attack. If we proceed with the proven complicity of Western countries in blowing up the Nord Streams, then we have no constraints, even moral, left to prevent us from destroying the ocean floor cable communication of our enemies. That's us. They see us as their enemies. Now, I don't know about you, but that's terrifying. I am quite dependent on my internet services. My bank, my stores, everything is internet connected. And if they cut that, all the money you have in the bank, say goodbye to it. It's not going to be there anymore. Your banks will be completely dysfunctional because they have become so internet dependent. Now, a lot of people have posed concerns over this issue, as rightly so. Years ago, when the internet was first really gaining leaps and bounds and growing exponentially, And now here we are, where our infrastructure is almost completely dependent on it. And Russia, they know they don't have to nuke us to hurt our economy. They don't even have to stop imports. They don't have to do anything other than cut that cable. So, have you thought about what your life would be like without that cable? Because I want you to think, it's going to mostly hit and concentrate the West Coast, which, with the direction that it's gone because of Democrats, I'm sorry, but if it wasn't going to affect the rest of the country, I would say it's fine. I'm sorry. You'll have to forgive me. But I have watched Democrats just completely destroy the West Coast. And they've done a pretty good hammer job on the East Coast. And, well, they're affecting everything because, we have our farming infrastructure being torn down by Democrats so that that land can be offered up to technology, data centers explicitly, trying to reroute water that is needed for people, livestock, and farms to these data centers for cooling of their computer systems. And what the hell? Why do I need all that? If you're not supposed to be collecting data on me in the first place, what the hell do you need 100,000 data centers for? Whose data are you keeping? Because I know you're not keeping the illegal immigrants' data in it, because you act like you don't know anything about them other than you invited them in. And I'm really, really worried about my country. I'm afraid in my lifetime I may see a nuclear war. Now, this hasn't happened since I was an infant. I was born in 1964, and right at the peak of the Cold War. So I want to know what other Americans are thinking about this. If I make a video, it's so difficult to get anything uploaded. I don't like to use my live stream because it's always broken up and disrupted. It's not a good service. YouTube has gotten phenomenally bad when it comes to trying to, even as a creator, put anything up on the internet. It takes me hours to do a 10-minute video. A 10-minute video should not take me 2 to 3, sometimes 4 hours to upload. But YouTube doesn't care. And they've made that clear. Their policies have made that clear. So I struggle with it and try to make do. But this business with them cutting off our internet, imagine what it's going to do to all of you creators out there. And I watch a lot of your creative materials because it's through you I learn more about the world, not just from Fox and CNN, who gives us only the worst of the worst. It doesn't show ever countries that are really rebounding or are overcoming what they've been forced to endure by having to take in millions of illegal immigrants that are claiming they're fleeing their country because they need asylum here, and they don't. They don't. All those Venezuelan flags during the voting for their new president that I saw on American soil, I just wanted to smack those people and tell them, go back to Venezuela if you feel that way. If you really feel that way, what the hell are you doing here? Why are you not there? Why are you showing your coward to Americans? Really, that's what they were doing. We're too afraid to be there, so we're going to come here and do our protest about Venezuela. Really? You let those gangs control you by not participating or taking part in stopping them. We have the same problem here. So I'm not saying it's something that's new. You've been dealing with it for how many hundreds of years? So keep dealing with it. Go back to your countries. Fix what's wrong and stop expecting Americans to just give you whatever you want. Stop mooching off other American citizens. Stop stealing our infrastructure and stop abusing your ability to even be here. Because if you talk to anybody who's here illegally, they think they have every right to be here. That we should be able to go wherever we want, live wherever we want, carry our guns, assault American citizens, steal from American citizens. And Kamala Harris and Biden together worked with previous governments like Obama and others. Now, Obama was one of the first presidents to actually say, whoa, we've got too many coming in now. We have got to stop them. And he even put helicopters out over the Rio Grande to keep them from crossing over. If you don't remember that, I do. Because so many were coming. Why? Because he was offering amnesty to those that were already here. So they thought if they can get in the country, they can get amnesty too. And it turned out to be a nightmare. So Democrats have tried this before. And it did nothing but drain the infrastructure and the economy of America. It did not benefit it in any way. I'm sorry, it didn't. And after living in Texas and seeing human trafficking firsthand, because I was poor, I didn't live in the real nice houses. I didn't live where there are big ranches. I lived in a crappy, old, tore down, somewhat rehabilitated house that had, I'm lucky, water running. It had no heat. I'm just lucky. I'm smart enough intuitively to know how to make it work. But without our electricity, which is also a part of our infrastructure and very much a part of our internet, can't get on the internet without it. You can do it with a phone, but you're going to be severely limited. So I'm really hoping to open some Americans' eyes. Are you aware of the serious threat? I hear Kamala, oh, we have got to help Ukraine, blah, 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 blah. We have been helping Ukraine. And now Russia is thinking about taking action against us for doing so. Where when Trump was in office, at least Russia was our ally, not our enemy. And Democrats have worked to make Russia our enemy. They worked very hard to make it our enemy. And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you something. We don't belong in the Ukraine. We don't belong in Afghanistan. We don't belong in any other country. We need to bring our soldiers home because we're going to need them right here. Who is it that's going to be saving our asses from all these illegal immigrants that came in and are tearing down and abusing the freedom that they've been given here? They're stealing, they're killing, they're raping, they're doing what they did in their old countries. And what's our government doing? Well, maybe we'll deport a few of them. We brought in only 10 million. So if we deport 100 or 200, the American people will be happy. That's Democrat thinking. I'm telling you right now, Trump secured our borders better than any president prior. I'm telling you that right now. My mother hated Trump. She swore he was the Antichrist. And some of the things he did was kind of hard to argue with her. But there are some events that he did that I will never forget. So I'm really weary of Trump, as are many in my community. They just feel like, you've got to vote for the lesser of two evils. And Trump is the lesser of two evils. If you look at Kamala Harris's record. Hello, honey. Did you have a good night, good sleep? My husband works nights. Sorry, folks. I'm on a live because I didn't think I could do a recording and get it to upload. You know how the internet is, especially these days. And AT&T, I don't know what you're doing, but you better get your thumbs out of your butts. Because my service with AT&T for the last, 6 months has been off on, where I can't even get signal. And I have to use my home internet to operate my phone. So I think that I have a wonderful life here. I know my kitchen is a mess. Sorry about that. I'm processing some bird feed for our birds outside. Winter's coming, and I try to put out extra feed for our birds. It keeps our forest here pretty healthy. And so that's why the mess. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Americans can't invest in our infrastructure because we're paying for it every day. With every single thing we buy, everything we do is taxed. I mean, when I found out that they were taxing people in New York City for breathing, it's included in their rent. Yeah, it's carbon dioxide or carbon. Yeah, whatever it is we breathe out, carbon tax. That they've implemented in New York. Well, stop breathing, people. Please, I'm tired of being overtaxed. And I'm joking. Please don't take that seriously. But honestly, if you are not aware of what's going on between America and Russia right now, and how it's going to affect you, because it only takes one snip, basically, to cut that cable. And when that cable's cut, all communication ends here with the outside world and possibly even with the inside. And you can't count on Starlink. I'm sorry, Elon Musk, but I'm seeing so many failures coming out of your creations. I got to know if you're being sabotaged, because it sure looks like it. We just had 20 satellites from Starlink that had a malfunction and went out of its orbit and went into low Earth orbit and just, disintegrated over the UK, Switzerland, and Germany. I think saw some of it. They thought it was a meteor, for people who didn't know, because there was no news out saying that this satellite train had massive failure. You could look it up, and if you were lucky enough, you could find something. It was very hard for me to find anything about, but I finally did. And so trying to trust Starlink to be our backup if Russia cuts that cable is ridiculous. It's like standing in mud up to your knees and thinking you're just going to step right on out of it without that mud sucking you back down in. So I don't know what we're going to do, but it is a reality that people need to wake up to. That our involvement in other people's wars, other countries' wars, is having a backlash. Because for one, we don't belong there in their eyes. And in my eyes, neither do we. We want to give them aid, give them aid. Do not give them military forces that we are going to need for ourselves, especially if Russia does decide to cut that cable, because now all of our interactions with China, with all the stuff that we buy and purchase from them, is gone. All the stuff that you're complaining, everything's out of China. Yeah, wait till you can't buy it. Think about it seriously. I know people don't want to watch the news. It's very hard to find any real news out there. But I am praying with all my heart that Trump wins, because if Kamala Harris wins, we are definitely going to war with China and Russia. And if you think we're not, because she's so woke, those countries are not nowhere near as woke. And Kamala Harris is so woke, she has fallen off the deep end. And she can't even make common sense make sense. I'm sorry, but she's a joke. And her example of what she has done in the West Coast of America, as far as California, Oregon, Washington State goes, that's all her influence. That's why it's okay for druggies to be living homelessly on the streets. That's why it's okay that they're releasing hundreds of violent criminals back out into society. And that's why they have changed the laws that favor Americans to now favor foreigners. These are not Americans. They're not applying for American citizenship. None of them are. None of them. They don't want it. They want to earn here and send money back home, which, I understand it, actually. I can understand the desire to want to do that. If I could go to another country and earn enough money to send home to take care of my kids and my grandkids, bet your sweet potatoes I'd be doing it. But that's not going to be a reality. Now, other people coming here and they were also lied to. They were lied to by the Biden administration. Oh, we've got 800,000 jobs available. Americans don't want to work no more. Americans don't want jobs. That's what they're telling them. So if you're going to be angry at the illegal immigrants that have come here, you better go to the top source that told them this is a good place to come. And now they're all stuck in camps, can't find jobs. They're turning to crime, stealing people's homes, stealing people's cars. And I'm talking American citizens that they're attacking. And in Florida, the Americans are told, defend your home. Go to California and you're told, if you defend your home, you're not American. You better give it up. It goes to that illegal immigrant. If they take your car, you're supposed to let them have it. Go buy another one. You're an American. Even though it's $60,000 for a moderate car. I'm sorry, this is almost overwhelming. And then to think that we got to worry about Russia. killing our infrastructure just by taking and cutting that cable. Are you aware? Are you ready to give that up? Because it's not going to be long before other countries take that kind of view on us. You know, everybody's screaming about Israel right now and Hezbollah and Palestine. Let them fight it out. They've been fighting for tens of thousands of years and still have not worked it out. Still have not learned how to share. Still have not learned how to take care of each other. And they're on the same freaking continent. So what are we doing in those wars? I want some real answers I know I'm never going to get, not in my lifetime, especially if the Democrats have anything to do with it. Now, I agree with my mother that Trump did help the country, but he really went off the deep end when he was in office. And I can understand why he had to constantly argue and fight with Democrats to get anything done. And when he couldn't, because they were taking too much time deliberating, he had to use executive action and did so. And opened up an economy that was a little better, not a lot better, a little bit better. And I don't know how much he can achieve in this next term, especially by our laws. He can't run again. You can only serve 2 terms as presidents in the United States. It's not going to be like he'll have 2 more terms, you know, this new one and another one. Once he's out, he's out. But there is a chance that he can keep us out of war for at least 4 more years. And that I look forward to, because I'd rather go back to worrying about who's going to try to steal my land, who's going to try and steal everything my American parents worked for and claim it as their own, or go through our local governments to steal land for some corporation that wants to do something. And if you think I'm exaggerating, go talk to the farmers in Oregon, Washington State, or the Associated States next to them, because they're being hit too. Dairy farmers are being hit, chicken farmers, everybody. And they are attacking our food resource and diminishing it. So where's our food going to come from? Because they have made it in some states illegal to grow your own food, like in California. So what are you going to do? Because if you get caught growing a tomato plant in your house, you can go to jail. I'm sorry. The Democrats have really messed this country up. And though I don't trust a Republican much more than I trust a Democrat, because I've seen them do some pretty crappy shit during their terms in office, like making the rich richer and adding to our tax burden and taking away our resources for our poor people. I don't know what to tell Americans today, other than if you voted Democrat, you gave your country away to foreigners. Massive amounts of foreigners. And you're seeing it every day in whatever state you're living in, especially sanctuary states are seeing it worse. And those sanctuary states are trying to backtrack now because the resources are gone. All the money they thought they were going to have, Why isn't the federal government giving it to them like it was promised? Because they have put those resources into themselves. I don't know anybody who lives as good as Kamala Harris. I don't know anybody who lives as pampered as Biden. I don't know anybody. And I know a few people who have what they would consider wealth. What I have sitting here, my parents worked their entire lives to get and to leave for me. Or I wouldn't have it. I'd still be stuck in Texas starving with my family. And I don't want to go back to that. And if I could figure out a way for my kids to all find jobs here, believe me, I would be pushing so hard for them to leave Texas and move here. Only because here at least I can grow my own food. Anyway, I just wanted to know how many Americans are aware how close we are to actually going to war with Russia. Because you know, as soon as they cut that internet cable, that line to our communication to the rest of the world, we're going to war with Russia. And Biden has made it perfectly clear. Well, you know, it doesn't matter. We'll just nuke them. What happened to save the planet? And all this green garbage you guys are spouting. But just that easy, you're willing to destroy the entire planet to go to war with Russia, who has just as many nukes, maybe even more. And they've got an ally we don't have. It's called China. And China has their war weapons too. And if you think they're not going to back up Russia, we don't have enough missiles to take on China and Russia. So Americans, you better start thinking clearly. For the first time in God knows how long, start thinking clearly about what you're facing. Because one cut can disable this economy, this everything. It can crash it all. Because when our computers cannot work together, communicate even with each other, because there's no internet, your power goes out, your gas lines stop working, your water facilities stop working. Do you think Russia is not stupid? They don't have to destroy the planet to destroy us. And you need to be aware of that, America. All right. American Granny, and I've ranted enough, but I just am really worried because of the naiveness I see in my fellow Americans and their refusal to even acknowledge the danger that faces us. So I love you all, and I'm praying for you all more and more every day. My prayers go to God for you all, because if you all don't survive, I don't either. I'm as dependent on my American fellow man as they are of me. All right. American Granny out. I love you.